sticks this time. So,
Your hosts for this evening, Shaggy.
Who the fuck are you?
That's me.
Nothing. You nothing. You are nothing. And you will never be anything. Never.
Colin.
Anybody know who you are? You miserable, presumptuous, no talent. You obviously don't have the talent.
And Mike, the Ape Man.
You are everything that's gone wrong in this world. You are self-consumed, no talent, mediocre piece of shit.
PTR Radio.
Boy, and if you don't know who we are by now, I don't know how many more times we can play the intro. But I think we're solid now. I think we're good. We're golden now. So yeah, we're in good shape. So welcome to the show, everybody. Sorry for the confusion at the beginning, but we're back. We're here and we're ready to entertain you. So welcome to our entertainment, which is, not that. Which is, where do I go? Where's it at?
He walked out of my life, but he'll be back.
Yeah. So, anyway, this is the show where everything's made up and the points don't matter. No, it's not that show. It's a different show. This is our regular Monday, every other Monday show. And on every other Monday, we go live and we tell you what's on our minds. We come up with some funny news to throw in there in between. And, we just have fun with it. So, and tonight's episode, we start out with technical issues, which is a recurring theme of the show, really, if you ask Mike.
I have to tell you, the delay is like minimal to Facebook right now. So whatever you did fixed.
Good deal.
You could probably cure world hunger at this point, because that's how good the fix is.
Well, I don't know I'd go that far, but appreciate it. So, we are streaming. We had a problem. See, Mike, I did make one small wiring change over the weekend. And, of course, we know that always causes a problem. I switched HDMI cables on two of my monitors. And you wouldn't think that would have any effect. But in reality, it switched which video cards were feeding each monitor, and therefore it screwed up which video card vMix could use for encoding.
Okay.
So therefore, vMix, which is the program we use to broadcast the show, was trying to encode on the built-in little Intel 620 video processor built onto the chip, which was going, I think I can. Oh, no, I can't.
I absolutely cannot.
I'm not meant for this. Meanwhile, I had all the low latency, high performance checkboxes checked. It goes, what the hell are you doing? So,
what do you mean we're going to run the Daytona 500 in a Pinto? Come on now.
It's more like with a bicycle. So it was a rickshaw. It was a rickshaw in the NASCAR. So, but if you want, chime into the show at PTR Radio on your favorite messenger of choice. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube are all available for you to choose from. Michael, if Mike likes your message, he'll throw it up there on the screen, and you'll get your 15 seconds of fame. So
eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Sometimes, we're a little bit behind because we like to talk. That's why we have our own radio show. If you like to talk, you can get your own radio show or wait for me to fix the phone one of these days. One of these days it'll happen. Not today. So.
Well, if somehow somebody did try to call in, I don't know, maybe we could do like a speakerphone type deal, but I wouldn't attempt that right now.
No. A speakerphone is, you never know when somebody else is recording you. We've seen that happen before. It's just not.
Yes.
Gosh, we don't want to.
If anyone is messaging, I can't see it just yet because that was another thing that had to reboot.
Yeah, but that should be up by now. No?
Nope.
Really? Huh. That is interesting. because it should. All right, I'll work on that. Meanwhile, Mike, Colin, we had to delay the show because Colin was gone. He was,
Yes.
just not available. And so, Colin, tell us where all you went. What ports of call did you go to? What lands of plenty did you visit? What sirens did you conquer?
So yeah, I was in Puerto Rico and San Juan for the weekend for a company trip, and it was good. I had some interesting food. I had a whole fried fish. It was a red snapper, which is very tasty.
Red snapper. What are you, from Jersey or something?
No, red snapper,
They don't
very
even call it
tasty.
that.
That's a quote from UHF,
Okay.
which everybody in my family would know. So, and then I had bunny rabbit on Sunday. That was very good. But so here's the thing. The joke is always when you go to like Disney World or any of the other theme parks, right?
Yes.
That when after the ride you exit through the gift shop.
Mm-hmm.
So in Puerto Rico, after you go through TSA security, you exit into the airport through the alcohol shop.
Of course.
So
Yes.
you literally get through security, and there you are in a place advertising buy two, get a third free rum.
We like rum.
So
The rum's all gone. Where's the rum?
I did not realize that was going to happen. So I ended up with 3 bottles of this stuff, which it's the Coqui Distillery Pitoro, which I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it's apparently the moonshine version of rum. I'll just say, so I have opened this up, and I am been sipping it here, and
What's in it? What is that? What's floating?
fruit. This is I bought. This is the fruitas one, and then I got another one which is passion fruit, and then another one which is tamarind. And at least this one is about 22%, so it's about 44 proof, and it is very smooth, very sweet, very dangerous. If you didn't know better, you might be able to down this entire bottle and possibly kill yourself. But very, very yummy. So I am very happy with that purchase. And I also got some of the Tortuga rum cakes. I got a 6-pack of those. So
Tortuga, wasn't that the island in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, they're actually made in Jamaica, I think. But it was interesting because they have these special bags, and they put the alcohol in the bags, and then they close it, and then they put a red security thing, like a zip tie,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure you don't try to get into your booze on the airport. But no taxes, so as long as you're going to the States and not going outside the country, then you get you buy all this rum and you pay no taxes on it.
Well, that's handy. We don't want to pay taxes. We don't need taxes. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good trip. I've never been out of the continent before, and I about killed myself walking in Old San Juan, which is a giant hill that I had to go up and down several times. Which, it doesn't sound that bad, except for the fact that, I haven't left the house much in a year and a half. So to go from sitting around the house for a year and a half to going up and down a mountain in when it's quite hot and very humid, it was a bit much. But I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
That's good. How was the flight?
Flight was fine. It was American, which I usually don't fly. I usually fly Southwest. But yeah, it was fun.
Because there's been a lot of
nice thing. Yeah, go ahead.
There's been a lot of discussions about the airline industry lately. There was a whole big thing on the news today that many of the airline are canceling flights in the hundreds because they're short-staffed, and now I'm hearing there is a shortage on jet fuel.
Woohoo!
Well, in fact, Spirit Airlines, which has been having IT problems, their problems are so bad. The airport I flew out of had a riot yesterday of passengers tearing up the jetway and causing a whole ruckus because Spirit has canceled their flight multiple times. So I was quite happy to not be in the airport during that.
No. Yeah. No, that's not. And Mike, you sent an article actually regarding the airports themselves, and that there is another problem with the airports that now they may be price gouging.
Oh,
I mean, imagine that at the airport.
So there was an article that came up today at the Port Authority airports, which is LaGuardia, JFK, and Newark Liberty. Those three airports, apparently somebody posted up on Instagram a beer list from from a place called the Beer Garden in LaGuardia. And a 12-ounce bottle of beer. Now, we'll start at the bottom, and I'm just going from memory. A 12-ounce bottle of Michelob Ultra was being sold for $19 at the airport bar. The Sam Summer Ale was the highest price. It was selling for $28.75 or $27.85 per bottle. Per bottle. You can get a case for almost that much. And the Port Authority, on top of it, says right at the bottom that they are charging a 10% COVID recovery fee, which does not go to the employees. That just is a random fee on top of everything else. It took an Instagram post from a traveler for the Port Authority to say, I think we need to look into this. Because
they have a rule that says 10%. That can only be 10% for in street.
Correct.
How come we always have to get like the street team out before something will ever get done? You know, how come we always have to get eyewitness news or it has to have 1,000 likes first? You know.
So you asked the question of did I see anything like that? And the answer is no, because I was flying out of Puerto Rico where they're like, want some rum? It's super cheap.
I was going to say, so how much? Maybe you said it, but how much was that bottle of rum?
I
Roughly.
don't remember. Here, this.
So it must be good rum.
So while Colin's talking about that, so we're not going to have a to the bar moment tonight because the bar is cluttered with crap. So I brought some of the bar to me. So tonight I am doing Cooper's Mark peach flavored bourbon whiskey. It's another one of those dangerous ones where there's no burn to it. It's extremely smooth. And I did add a bit of garnish to it. So,
Is that apples?
No, it's peaches.
Oh, it's peaches. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, why did he put apples in?
You can't put apples in peach. I mean, you
okay,
could.
I can't see the fuzz, all right? We're not broadcasting in 4K here. I couldn't see the fuzz on the peach.
That's because this isn't the 70s. But,
I've got the 8-man special, which is the grown-up peanut butter cup. Shot of chocolate whiskey, shot of peanut butter whiskey, topped with seltzer.
Yep.
And that's only because I'm like, I got to get these bottles out of this fridge. They have been in here way too long.
Yeah. Well, while
They're
booze
just taking up room.
doesn't necessarily go bad, it doesn't get better with age either.
No.
You know,
That's actually very weak now for having 2 shots in there, but
you know, my
anyway.
wife told me, she goes, well, Beth, my sister-in-law, is going to come over to Friday night, and you know, they're going to go through some old VHS tapes. And she goes, I told her just to plan on staying the night because we're going to go through the bottles of wine that everybody's brought me over for doing different things for them. She's like, we have like 7 bottles of wine to go through. I said, well, it's a good thing we have a guest room. You know, I said, you guys do that. You have fun with that. I will, you know, if you absolutely need me, I'll be downstairs. Otherwise, you two can watch your VHS tapes of old times, and I will just be playing a game or something. You know, recently I've been into Sonic racing. So
I am on a mission to complete all the quests in Dirt 4. I have, in fact, now I got to look them up because I just completed another one.
Yeah. I do Dirt 4, but because the kids are over here so often, I can't get into it because they don't do it. You know, they can't understand it other than Raylan likes to destroy the car in the dirt trap or whatever it's called. And so, you know, I let him do that. But other than that, no, Sonic Racing he understands because it's so much like Mario Kart. So, you know. But otherwise,
So I
it's
think
just it's just whatever. I really want to get back to Guns, Gore, and Cannolis because that was it's a ridiculously fun game as a left to right scroller game goes.
So
Colin?
to answer the question, I believe after the discount, $12.50.
$12.50 for a $7.50 of rum. That's not bad.
That is not bad at all, and it's good rum.
Yeah.
That's delicious.
So.
It's not exactly the kind of rum you put in a cocktail. It's kind of straight rum, but yeah.
No, you have those, and that's my issue with some of these flavoreds. You know, it is difficult to find things to mix them with, so you do end up just drinking them straight. Like this peach bourbon here, there's very, you know, okay, I could mix it with like a Prosecco or a sweet wine or something like that if I just wanted to boost the octane a bit. Maybe if there was a summery drink which called for whiskey or bourbon, I could substitute this just to add a little bit of flavor. But
yeah, it's called bourbon. That's summery. That's it.
But, you know, beyond that, there's not much you could do. And because it's so sweet, substituting this for regular bourbon is a real, like, roll of the dice. You don't know whether it's going to work or not. And that's like the chocolate stuff that you've got, Mike, and the peanut butter cup stuff. It's like there's only a few mixes of that work, you know, that are going to work well.
I fully intended to just drink it straight.
Yeah.
I just mixed them because, well, listen, I'm at the point now where I got to get rid of this stuff.
Oh, I get it.
And for the record, this past week I finished the Rallycross Championship. I've already completed the Land Rush Championship. I'm working on the Rally, which Rally bothers me.
Oh, see,
we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Because I like competing against other racers like on the track. And then there's historic rally, which I don't want to go racing in like old stuff, man.
And old minis. So
I could care less about that.
Let's see here. So I posted this early on into last week. Did you guys read the story about Dolly Parton by chance?
Which one?
I don't.
The one where she was redoing the picture?
Yeah, the one where she was basically giving her husband a birthday present.
God bless her.
You know.
God bless her.
Dolly is just, Dolly is to country music the way Betty White is to acting right now. She's kind of beloved and can't do any wrong. And she's very smart about what she says, as to not offend one way or another. So I really liked this, and we'll put a link to it on our Facebook page in case you missed it the first time around. But Dolly Parton poses in Playboy outfit for husband's birthday. She says, he still thinks I'm a hot chick. Well, I mean, considering her age, she's looking pretty darn good for how old she actually is. She's 75 years old, and but said that he asked for her to pose as she did on the cover of Playboy for his birthday, and said, why not? Why not do it? And I mean, that's the kind of thing.
So here's the thing: she's pretty much in the same outfit.
Yeah. The only thing that's different is this one has like half sleeves or whatever in the heck you want to call it, where she didn't have those before. But big deal.
Now, this is kind of paramount or equivalent to when Kurt Russell did Escape from L.A.
Mm-hmm.
He fit into the same costume that he wore in Escape from New York, which was many years before.
Yeah.
So it just shows she has stayed in great shape, and she has had some work done.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
God bless her, and honestly,
nothing like Joan Rivers had done.
God. I'm finding out a whole hell of a lot about Dolly Parton that's making me appreciate her that much more. Like apparently there's the Book of the Month Club for children, young kids, so they get something to read every month that's free.
Yeah. Now be careful, because if you start down that track, you might watch the Hallmark movie that has Dolly in it. That actually talks about that as it's a fairly decent sized piece of the story.
There ain't enough alcohol in this drink to make me ever admit to wanting to watch a Hallmark movie willingly. Okay?
Well,
you might as well.
The only reason
that is a sign you'll know that I've been drugged I'm sitting there watching.
It's called Christmas at Dollywood, and the only reason why I watch it is because it has the guy who was in Eureka, and he played, what the hell was his name? I can't remember. Niall Matter, Danica McKellar, and Dolly Parton.
Okay, so listen, I ain't watching no Hallmark. Anyway, but there was another thing that I found out, that apparently she takes the royalties from I Will Always Love You, which, she gets a ton of royalties thanks to Whitney Houston, right?
Yep.
She takes those royalties and she donates them to underprivileged communities and churches. Yeah. So she don't even take any of that money. I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, and who knows what she does with, she's got plenty of money, so that's not a problem. And who knows what she's doing with this Hallmark money. It's not like she needed Hallmark money. But they shot an entire movie in Dollywood, and then she makes cameos in the movie. And evidently she signed up for a deal for like 3 different ones, and they use her songs in the movie. So I know she made a decent payday. I mean, it's Hallmark. It's her people.
Yeah. Well, all right.
And so, yeah.
Look, as much as I love Dolly, I think we need to address the elephant in the room here, because I'm scrolling through the white sheet here, and 90% of it has to do with the Delta variant and the current lockdown, and I think we're up to IOTA.
Are we at IOTA? I thought maybe we were.
I don't know.
I knew we were at Gamma. I didn't know if we were at IOTA.
The naming progression has completely changed because now they've taken the puke to Schneike scale and applied it to the Delta to the virus.
Yeah.
Because now apparently we have the Delta Plus.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, they took the Disney.
They took the velvet
Disney
carpeting or something.
Yeah, they took the Disney plan, is what they took.
I mean, next thing you know, we're going to have I Delta, which is transmitted via wireless.
It's Delta plus lowercase a, then lowercase I, and then you repeat again, large A. So if you're outlining this, that way you can keep track. But yeah,
when I went to Puerto Rico, I had to register in advance to give them a picture of my vaccination card.
Yep.
And let them, give all this information, and then I had this barcode that when I arrived there.
Now they didn't tattoo it on you, right? So they just gave it to you. Okay.
I just had a barcode on my phone that I had to show them, and then they looked it up, and they looked at my driver's license to make sure it was who I said, that I matched the information that they had provided, and I got through. So it did make me feel a little safer in Puerto Rico to know that they're being careful about who comes in.
They're watching the people that are coming in, not necessarily the people that are already there. So
if it's already there, that's one thing. It's just keeping more of it from coming in the first place. That's helpful. Although before I forget, there was one important thing about my Puerto Rico trip I forgot to mention.
You got married.
So we were staying at the Caribe Hilton. And what's important about the Caribe Hilton is that is where the pina colada was invented. So I had a pina colada.
You had.
Oh, I had one, and it was amazing.
Okay.
They do not. They have the absolute best coconut cream to put in it. They don't put any skim milk. I mean, it's the. If there is a more caloric pina colada out there, then it's probably not really a pina colada because it was everything. It was excellent. So if you like pina coladas, go to the Caribe Hilton in San Juan, Puerto Rico. That's where they came from.
And getting lost in the rain, that helps.
There's a lot of rain there, so it makes sense that you would get lost.
Yeah. I mean,
well, it's funny. A place by us actually put a sign out there: "Help wanted. Long-haired hippie people may now apply."
So let's see here. I'm looking for your. Was your pina colada in a mason jar with a handle?
No.
No. Okay, so that's something different.
I actually got it to go because it was after a very long day. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll get this pina colada because I have to have the pina colada. I'll go sit over there and look at the ocean and be very tired. And so I'll just enjoy it, and then I'll finally get back to my room. I went up to the bartender and I said, pina colada, please. He started putting it in. He said, you want it for here or to go? And I was saying, thank you. So I was like, yeah, to go. Thank you. Yes. So I got my to-go cup of pina colada and went back to my room.
Very nice.
It was glorious.
We got, and as we get into more variants and everything, obviously we've talked about it before, but things like proof of vaccination for travel makes, to some degree makes sense. But then we also have, them looking at bars requiring it for, coming in.
Okay, so the escalation in COVID by sudden increase in masks orders. Yes.
We just had one signed yesterday, actually.
The irony here is that New Jersey has not. Well, they did require in certain settings that honestly I thought they were already required, which was a lot of long-term care facilities and health facilities. I guess there was a delineation somewhere. I don't know where it happened, but yeah, masks are now required in a lot of these places. But they are not requiring what the you could tell he's up for re-election, because what Governor Murphy in New Jersey is doing is saying it is up to the establishments. By all means, individual businesses can mandate masks if they feel required. He won't come out and say it because he knows he will get raked over the coals for it. Because
he wants to make the businesses the bad guys.
Well, it's not just that. The way that they pushed the vaccine was the path back to normal. Right. Once we hit his goal all along, once we hit 70% of adults in New Jersey that are fully vaccinated, then restrictions will go away because we've reached herd immunity. We hit 70%. And that's not even counting those that have recovered with natural immunity, because they never count those, despite the science showing that 8 months or more, people still have those antibodies.
Yeah, and so, to be clear, according to at least what I read, they may not have antibodies against all variants through natural infection. There is some studies that back up that say that immunization gives you a wider range of defense than natural infection does. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't give you any defense. We're not saying that.
At the same time, we don't know how effective each vaccine is against each variant.
There actually has been some research done on that, especially on like the number of breakthroughs and things like that. They're finding that they're like, now Pfizer is not nearly, I think they said it was 74% effective against Delta, whereas Moderna and
just keep it to Moderna. If you go Johnson & Johnson, it's just crazy.
Actually, it's the Johnson & Johnson that's the lower one. It's Moderna and Pfizer, which are actually, I think they said 97% effective against the variants, whereas Johnson & Johnson was down into the 70s.
Yeah. The thing is, both of the mRNA ones are designed for that spike. And that spike is one of the things that has to stay constant, because that's what the virus actually uses to attach to our cells. So that's why it's more effective than the natural immunity, because the natural immunity is random. It's whatever the body decided to grab onto when it finally figured out that there was something wrong. Where vaccinations are like targeted to say you are going to look for this spike.
Yeah,
and all the coronaviruses are going to have that spike.
Now, I will also preface, I will also tag in this. We're not immunologists, and we don't have all the facts. We've just read some things online that we're sharing with you, and we invite you to do your own research. That doesn't mean ask your buddy on Facebook who says that the vaccine contains, microchips. That means actually do legitimate research. All right.
Yeah. And whatever you do, do not listen to the governor of the state of Florida.
Actually, I think we could just make a general rule. Don't listen to your governor in general. No matter who the governor is of any state, don't listen to the governor. Don't do your own independent medical research.
Look, here's a debate that I had with somebody earlier today. I think they made a big mistake calling this. So let me ask you guys a question.
Yep.
Every year they have a shot that you can go get that helps you or helps protect you from a severe case of the flu.
Yep.
Do we call that a vaccine?
No.
Yes.
Call it a flu shot. Well, I don't know what the technical I don't know what the technical term for it is. I've just always heard it as a flu.
But here's my point. This is my point. So with smallpox and polio and things like that, we have a vaccine. You get the vaccine to prevent you from contracting the disease.
Yes.
Yep.
With the flu shot, you take it to reduce the severity of symptoms if you do come down with the flu. It doesn't prevent you from getting the flu. And part of that is because there are different strains or variants of the flu. So I think if this had been promoted as
Now,
in the same vein as a flu shot,
right. So I'm
perhaps
actually looking it
people
up,
wouldn't be as skeptical.
and it could just and it looks like it's just terminology, because according to Wikipedia and the CDC's websites, when you say what is a flu shot, it says a influenza or flu shot is a flu vaccine given with a needle, usually in the arm. Seasonal flu shots prevent against 3 to 4 variants of the flu, yada, yada, yada. But they do say a flu shot is, in fact, a vaccine.
Okay.
All right?
Right.
So
let me go ahead. Let me go through some what's going on there. Okay. The flu shot itself is old technology. Okay, and it takes them a long time. So they're actually trying to project 2 years in advance what flus do they think are going to be circulating, and they put that shot together. And sometimes they forecast. It's like weather forecasters. Sometimes they forecast that storm, and sometimes the tornado hits and they missed it. Now, what is happening is that they are taking this mRNA technology that they just used for COVID, and they're going to try to bring that in on the flu side. Now, if they can get that to work, then they may be able to get a much more targeted flu vaccine that actually has a much higher chance of being a full, you will not even get a mild flu, it will just block the flu for that year. Now, if they can get that working, because the problem with flu right now is it circulates between us and the southern, it goes between the north and the south, okay? So during the winter, we get hit by the flu. During the summer, all the islands get the flu. So it goes down to the islands and the southern, like Australia, and that's where it mutates and then comes back to us the next winter. And that's what they're trying to guess is how it's going to mutate when it goes through all the island nations.
Okay.
So we may get an actual much more effective flu vaccine out of this mRNA technology that was just proven for COVID.
Big problem with that is the same people who are resisting the mRNA technology now will resist it for the flu. I think that's a safe assumption.
I would bet a high likelihood of those people.
I think that's going to happen.
I would
now,
bet,
when you say it's an old technology, that's the same. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's the same technology that's being used for the J&J vaccine.
yes.
So the current flu vaccine is created by infecting eggs from a chicken. So they infect these chicken eggs.
It's a recombinant. I think that's the term, the type of vaccine it is, as far as how it works. And I know we've explained in the past about how all of the steps that go, like the J&J starts here, and you go through steps like etc. And this is where mRNA comes in. So basically, they're doing the same thing. It's just mRNA gets there faster. Yeah. So I know we've talked about that, but
now the flu vaccine is a completely different technology. So with that one, they actually infect chicken eggs, let the flu viruses grow within the chicken eggs, and then they weaken the actual flu virus by putting other chemicals into the chicken egg. And then they take that, and that's what they inject into you. So it's the actual flu viruses themselves damaged in such a way that the body can detect it and kill it off, and it can't really give you the flu because it's already half dead as it is. For the Johnson & Johnson, they took some random animal virus that typically can't infect humans, and they stuck an extra piece of DNA inside it so that as the body kills that weird animal virus, then it sees the COVID stuff that we want to see, and that's what vaccinates you. And the problem with that is that you cannot boost that, because the body, not only did it get antibodies for COVID, it also got antibodies for that animal virus. So if you give someone a second shot of the Johnson & Johnson, then the body just immediately sees that animal virus and just kills it, and you don't get any effect of whatever was stuck inside it to try to tell you what COVID was.
Which is why you start to see stories about people who got J&J and now they're getting boosters with Moderna or Pfizer.
Right.
So,
and the cool thing is what we're seeing now is that they were trying booster shots, and they were seeing that if they gave someone a third shot of, I think it was Moderna that they were doing that with. I can't remember. Anyway, everyone it was, they were seeing that there was a huge increase in the amount of antibodies. It was like a 10-fold increase. Yeah. But what that tells you is, that tells you that the memory cells of your body remembered. So it wasn't just that you had the antibodies, because the antibodies are always short-term. It's those memory cells that remembered how to make the antibodies. They get triggered as soon as the virus shows up. That's what's important. So I think that the booster shot evidence, while it was interesting that a booster shot works and that it drastically increases the antibodies, I think those news stories completely glossed over the fact that that meant you had much deeper immunity built in, that is super effective.
And what's even more interesting is once you got to like 6 booster shots, when you got angry, you got really big and green and strong. So it was cool.
Yeah. The problem we're having,
if the government promised that, I would go for all 6 shots.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we're going to make this Hulk world.
But at what point? I understand that they're still learning about this, but you can't. Look, I'm going to be honest here. In New Jersey, in my situation right now, if the governor comes back and says everyone, vaccinated or not, has to wear a mask, if a masking order comes back into play, there will be a civil war in New Jersey. And it ain't, I can guarantee you, there will be riots in the street. Because the way the vaccine was painted by our governor was, this is how we end the mask mandates. This is how we end all of this. So we did what you asked, and now you're going to reverse it.
I understand.
And you're going to blame it on a variant that the PCR tests do not test for. You cannot tell who has what variant. You don't know what you're infected with. The numbers, I could pull this up because I've been tracking this myself, okay? I mean, the 7-day average of hospitalizations, they said we were in a surge. We are 12 times less than we were at the peak of COVID. And our field hospitals that they set up were not even 10% occupied. They were not even really used. So you can't count that into the number of beds. New Jersey has been a hotbed of misinformation. So I'm sorry if I'm getting very agitated and very animated about this, but I'm disgusted that the goalpost keeps moving. The fact that it's in an election year makes it even more frustrating.
I get that. I get the frustration, and I understand the frustration. I want to center in on one comment you made, because I've heard it before by multiple people, and it boggles my mind to a degree. All right, you said if the mask mandate, and I don't mean to, we're all friends here, we all get along, and it's nice that we can have civil conversations like this. You said that if the mask mandate comes back, you fully expect a civil war over it. All right, and like I said, you're not the first person I've heard say that before. But I think about, all right, if I break that down and I actually take that literally, and if people actually were to do that, people are going to go to war with each other, with their neighbor potentially, over a little piece of cloth over their mouth when they leave their house, when they go into a public space. Is that really, how petty does that make us look?
It's not about the actual face covering, okay? It's the messaging behind it. It's the fact that now the government, and again, I'm speaking locally. I'm not even touching the whole federal stance on all of this because I don't have the time or the energy to go sifting through all of that. Locally here in Jersey, all right, this is the problem. Every time things start to look good, the governor focuses on bad. Every time he makes a promise about, or he states, we're going to do this as soon as we get, when X happens, we'll be able to do Y. Well, then X happens, nope, sorry, Delta variant. Now when Z happens, we'll be able to do Y. None of the press asks him, how do you know they're all Delta variant? How do you know that Delta variant is... He got heckled today because he signed legislation to extend the eviction moratorium in New Jersey.
Right.
Right?
Which has been, if I remember reading a headline correctly, I think nationally it's been somewhat extended, or they've given at least the states the ability to extend it federally.
Yeah. So, and there's a whole other flip side to that that's pissing me off too. But.
Yeah, there are definitely some inequities in how it's being dealt with.
So,
but my point being the fact he was at this signing, and now they're mandating that teachers get vaccinated. They're mandating state employees must be vaccinated or get tested twice a week.
Right.
Because of the Delta variant. But the numbers
the same
not
requirement
actually gone.
Same requirement came down on government employees too, I believe.
The numbers have not gone up the way that,
yeah. I'm sorry.
Numbers
Mike.
have not gone up the way that they're saying that they are. Now, when numbers do go up, they wind up 3 weeks later deleting a bunch of cases. Oh, we were wrong. So you go back. I found it today with my own freaking eyes. I've gone to the state's dashboard and I've tracked since March 1st. And I just happened to go back and spot check. Sure enough, back in March, numbers that I input directly from the dashboard that day have changed by 10, 15, which doesn't sound like a lot. But when you look at a percentage and there's 6,000 cases, how many were they really reporting?
No, I get it.
Let me go back at a couple of things here. I will say New Jersey is 7th for number of vaccinations. You're at 60%. So I look at that and I say New Jersey, among all the states, is pretty low on my list of states to worry about. But that being said, the problem with Delta is not that the COVID rates are going up. The problem with Delta is that, unlike the original variants that were tested, people who are vaccinated are carrying Delta. They're not getting sick, but they may be passing it on. That's what they're worried about with Delta. They're not worried about, like you're saying, you can't, the tests aren't really telling you if it's Delta or not. But the tests that they have done show that some people who are vaccinated are infected with Delta and have enough viral load that they may be passing it on. So without doing testing, we just know that that's the case. So that's why the masks have come back up. It's not about protecting. If you're vaccinated, you are protected. Period. You could have Delta and never know it. But if you are not wearing a mask, you may be passing it on. Now, in some states where the vaccination rate is pitiful, that's a bigger problem. In New Jersey, where you're at 60%, I definitely see your point. It's like, well, we're at 60%. You're increasing the amount of people that you're going to force to get vaccinated. at the state level, that kind of thing. At some point, it's like even hinting that you want to make the mask mandatory like that is a bit much.
Yeah, kind of changing the topic just a little bit, talking about the effect, the unseen effects of this. Although this one actually was seen. There was I came across it was the copyright lawyer on YouTube. And he was talking about a case. This actually wasn't a copyright law case, but he said this was very interesting, so he wanted to cover it. And it's Scarlett Johansson suing Disney, which you think, oh, that's kind of like biting the hand that feeds you a bit. Why would you do that?
Is she really?
Yeah.
Her story arc's done.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so. But anyway,
Yeah.
so this is a very
Biting the hand that
interesting.
fed you.
Yeah, this is a very interesting case, and what it is when Scarlett Johansson agreed to make the Black Widow movie, it was back in 2019, before we'd ever heard of COVID, really, right? Everything was great. We were going out to bars. We were going to see movies. Life was wonderful. The only thing we had to look forward to was Thanos coming, and so.
Well, 2019 was maybe it was the end of 2019, wasn't it? That it started showing up in China?
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe I'm just a little more sensitive because I just because of my industry. I saw effects back then, but go ahead.
Yeah. So Scarlett Johansson was, approached by Marvel, mostly because of the huge backlash saying, hey, you guys don't have enough female-led movies, to say, hey, we want to do a Black Widow movie. And ScarJo said, okay, well, show me the green. And they said, well, let's make a deal. And so she said, okay, I'll tell you what. I've talked to my co-stars, and they said, here's the smart thing to do. I'll take less on the front end. I'll take a lower pay. You give me a percentage of the box office, which for Marvel movies is a great idea. All right, it was a great idea.
And let's also be clear, this is not uncommon.
No, it's very common because at the time,
the first one that I remember was Bill Murray with Ghostbusters.
yeah,
That was the biggest. He took like a quarter of his going rate and said, you give me a percentage of the box office. Oh, sure.
Yeah. The most famous was Jack Nicholson. When he played the Joker in Batman. He got a piece not only of Batman, he got a piece of all the other movies in that particular series of Batman movies.
Yeah, you can look at Charlie Sheen being the same way, right? With 2.5 Men, he got paid for the entire run. So then came the question. All right, coronavirus hits. Disney, the owner of Marvel now, changes their mind, saying, "Hey, listen, we're not going to make any money if we do a box office release, because in Scarlett Johansson's contract, it's an exclusive theatrical release." All right.
No, it does not say that. That's the problem.
No, it did.
It said it must be a theatrical release.
It said
it does not say exclusive theatrical release. That's part of it. She says that it's understood
it is.
In the industry that theatrical release means it's an exclusive theatrical release for at least a month.
Well, actually,
but the contract itself just says theatrical release.
And you're right. Okay, but in 2019, the industry understanding was theatrical release is between 60 and 90 days exclusively in theaters.
So
yes,
Shaggy, I just want to say you're taking Colin arguing against you. I'm seeing the pro-Disney and the anti-Disney happening here.
We're basically the lawyers.
All right, there's a second piece to this, Mike, that we haven't gotten to.
So,
yet.
Michael,
Mike,
you're the judge in this case.
You really want me to be the judge? Did you just see how emotional I got over stuff? Come on now.
Anyway, because remember, in 2019, Disney Plus didn't exist. All right. it wasn't known to Scarlett Johansson that they were going to start their own streaming service. Right? That can't be assumed that she knew that. And the streaming protocols was that it was between 6 and 9 months after the initial release when it became streaming available. That was the standard, that the precedent that had been set for all Marvel movies. Because precedence is important when you're looking at contract law. All right? So what happened is Disney changed their plans when coronavirus hit, all right, and said, okay, we're going to simultaneously release at theaters and on Disney Plus, special premium platinum gold ears, whatever in the hell it is, right, where people have to pay $30 extra per film to see this thing, right? Scarlett Johansson got cut out of all that streaming revenue because her contract didn't include anything relating to streaming. So she was only available, she only got a portion of the box office proceeds. So she said that they basically worked to curtail her earnings, and Disney said, lump it. It's the way it is. You know, that was their response. And they blamed her. They blamed her and told her that she was basically...
you already got $20 million. You should be happy with that.
Yeah, you got $20 million. You should be happy with that. And you are making disparaging remarks to people adversely affected by the pandemic.
How dare you?
Yeah. How dare you insult?
COVID? That's basically what she said. They basically said, how dare you? Yes.
Yeah.
So, as the judge, I'd like to just throw a couple things in here. First of all, I don't know why. At what point? Like, the first thing when she's like, Disney's like, you got $20 million. What's your problem? I see Scarlett Johansson as the one guy from that movie, The Replacements, when they're interviewing and the guy comes in and he says, you have any idea how much it costs to insure a Ferrari, mother?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, like, $20 million, let me tell you something. If I got $20 million, I would be able to live for the rest of my life. I'd be happy about it.
Her agent's going to take $4 million. He's taking 20% off the top.
$16 million is fine. $16 million, I could still live with that, even after taxes. $8 million?
She's not walking away with $16 million. She's going to be lucky to walk away with $8 million, given all the other people that are taking a piece of her pie.
Yeah.
And how much is she getting from all of the Avengers royalties? Okay, let's just okay.
See, that's part of the point, though.
And
what she got. I mean, this movie was her deal. So she didn't get that much from the other Avenger movies because she was promised this was the movie that would be her payday.
Okay.
Not only that, not only did Disney tell her, we already paid you $20 million, what's your problem? They also said, oh, and we made it so that you can make more money as this character. That we killed off.
Yes. So here's the second. As I said earlier, there's a second part to this, right? So the first part was it said that it had to have a theatrical release. And Disney's like, it had a theatrical release. We met the contract, okay? So here's the second part of it. And this is the part of
Are you talking about
law.
the meeting with Marvel? Because,
No.
see, here's the thing. She found out in 2020, when COVID hit, that they were going to do a simultaneous streaming release. And so she had a conversation with the president of Marvel. And the president of Marvel is quoted as saying, due to the change in distribution, we will need to revisit your compensation for this film. She has that in writing from him, saying that since your deal was all focused around box office release, we will have to revisit your compensation.
Right. I mean,
Disney's saying,
here's the rest of your compensation.
Yeah.
So. Here's the reason, right? And here's the part where we have armchair people like us, right? We sit around and we think that the law is something that you can argue your way through and say It's a board game where you meet these rules exactly, and if you don't meet the rules exactly and you lose, haha, sorry, that's just the way it was. There's something called the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, okay? And what that means is, like, if you had a contract with someone that said, hey, we're going to buy this idea from you, and we're going to use this to go and make a product called
Widget.
bee food. And we're going to give you 10%, okay? And then the company goes and they make a completely different product called D food, and they say, oh, we don't owe you any money. The contract said bee food. We don't make bee food. We make D food. Well, because of the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, that doesn't fly. Just because you slightly change the name from what the contract said, you're still obligated to have good faith and pay them just because you changed the name slightly. And that same thing happens here. They had a good faith contract saying, hey, we're going to have a theatrical release. I'm going to get a bunch of money from it. And then later you can do other things with it like you usually do. That's fine. But they have to meet their side of doing things the way it's supposed to be done. So I think she's probably going to win.
So, Your Honor, Mr. Shathid, what is your ruling on said case on ScarJo v. Disney?
This is very simple ruling.
Yes?
This is bullshit.
Okay.
It's very simple ruling. See, here is problem. First off, shout out to the Romanovs. Here's problem. I went to grade school with them. Problem is this. Her character should never have been the one to get the Wish Stone, the Infinity Stone. She should not have died. Hawkeye is a piece of shit. He should have died.
So
then this no big problem because there'll be Black Widow too.
That's right. Well, there's lots of...
We screw you on this one, but we make up for it on this one.
There's 5 years in between the Infinity Wars and Endgame. We got lots of time. We could have another one.
Here is problem number 2. This asshole, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he make Disney movie, Jungle Cruise.
Yes, I saw that movie. It's good.
No natives because can't offend anyone. I say, fuck you, I offend everyone. So, he make movie.
It had natives in it.
They changed right, did they not?
Yes, they did.
Yes, they changed
because
right.
Natives, apparently offend people. That's racist. Offensive. They must go away. Because, silly me, black people don't live in Africa.
Okay, yeah,
I digress.
Yes.
I understand. I feel for my black brothers. Now, Dwayne Johnson come on, and he say, I in lockstep with Disney on streaming release.
Mm-hmm.
But what he should do, he should give ScarJo half of Jungle Cruise money.
Half of Jungle Cruise money.
Because if she had not sued, he would not have sense with $7 Productions to say, we want percentage of streaming revenue.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's a wonderful idea. We should start an online petition.
That never go well for anyone.
Yeah, no, we should start an online petition that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gives half of his money from Disney, from the Jungle Cruise, movie, to ScarJo to show solidarity and support of fellow Disney actresses.
Here, one problem.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
This problem
is the actresses. Yes, that's.
Yes. We're going to put this under women's rights. Yep.
Problem here is that Rock playing a DC character, superhero. So he kind of in different wing of Disney from Marvel. It's like they share cafeteria, but that's about it.
Well, but he isn't the superhero because he's going to play Black Adam. So they have that in common.
I just say he a DC superhero.
Yeah. So it's still superhero.
You can't have DC superhero and Marvel superheroes be no. That don't happen.
Okay.
Here, other option. Perhaps ScarJo say Fagula to Disney and she be next one to join the franchise that jumped the shark, which is Fast and Furious. Now that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has said, I don't have to do Fast and Furious anymore because I'm bigger. They bring in the eventual replacement of Dwayne Johnson being John Cena. He was replacement in WWE. Now he replacement in Fast and Furious. He could be, she could go to, or so maybe she could come back in the Loki.
In the Loki.
Or
Yeah.
somehow in the multiverse thing she come back.
Okay. Well, that could
But
happen.
Either way, Disney need to make this right. And Disney, you need to call my agent back about Mr. Chité's wild ride.
His wild chocolate
We
ride.
have figured out, yes, we have figured out how to keep the people from pooping themselves. It's very important.
So, okay. I have a completely different question for Mr. Chitane.
Yep.
So, recently, there was a new version of Space Jam. Okay?
Oh.
And in that Space Jam, Pepe Le Pew was removed because they did not want
A
a
rapist.
rapist character in Space Jam. But in the actual movie, during the basketball game, in the background, they had actual rapists from the movie Clockwork Orange watching the basketball game. So, what do you think is worse, Mr. Spade? Actual rapists or someone thinks is a rapist? Which one should they have removed?
Mr. Chitet, feel like you asked this question knowing answer. This is a setup, isn't it? Yes, you tried to set Mr. Chitet up. I said, listen, actual rapists should be gone. Pepe Le Pew was a scapegoat, good skunk. Disney lost out on making this teaching moment. Also missed out by making Babs Bunny less feminine. Probably use pronouns they and them now. Mr. Chitet no understand that, but I respect.
Mm-hmm.
So, they could have had King James. Oh, King LeBron. He going to save Space Jam. Yes, King LeBron can't play anywhere for more than a year. Have won nothing. King LeBron could have taught Pepe Le Pew, respect the women. Instead, removed and left rapists in background. Stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely stupid of Disney. Disney need to hire Mr. Shethead
I agree.
as public relations manager for everything. Czar. Mr. Shete liked the title of Czar.
Czar. A public operations officer czar. So a poo czar. That's what you want. Poo czar.
You try to make pun, yes. Better than last show. Mr. Shete fail epically.
All right. Well, I think we're going to have to move on because we did start that petition. We'll put that link out there on our Facebook page. So hopefully we can get some help. Hopefully we can attract The Rock to help out with Scarlett Johansson. He's a nice guy. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll just do it out of the goodness of his heart. We don't know.
At very least, maybe send some Terramana tequila to...
Yeah, she can at least
to PTR Radio.
Forget that she lost all those millions of dollars.
No,
she can afford her own tequila.
ScarJo can buy her own tequila. Send tequila to hosts.
Moving on.
At least we get something.
Moving on, we do want to talk, we talked a little bit earlier about COVID politics, and we're normally not a very politicky show, but I know that Mike is really in support of this one, and so I really wanted to make sure that we had a time to talk about this. But there has been there's been movement behind this. It's been thought about for a while, and evidently it's picking up speed. The idea is, who should really be voting? Who should have the right to vote?
Oh, God.
Who really should have the responsibility to chart the course of this great country of ours? Who has a vested interest in where it goes? And who should have their hand on the wheel of government? I'll tell you who.
Yeah, okay.
Us with car seats in the back. That's right. Us who go, shut up or I'll turn this car around. Or those of us who have to go like this. Those of us who,
let me tell you something.
Who are prolific procreators, if you will.
So
politics belong to prolific procreators.
Those of you that get more tax rebates.
That's right. We already get all the benefits of the government. We might as well take the helm and steer this ship in the right course.
All right, so this Gavone, DJ Vance, author of Hillbilly Elegy, when I told Kim about this one.
This comes from the Gospel of News, Fox.
When I told Kim about this one and I said we were going to talk about this one, she was hoping that the phone would be working because she was ready to come in to the show on this one. But we came up with a fair compromise.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get to vote because we don't have kids, then we don't have to pay school tax. Because it's obvious we don't have kids.
Well, that's fine.
And
but you
to
need
me,
to pay...
that's a relatively fair compromise.
Okay, fine, but we'll make you pay more sales tax because you have more disposable income. And you're not buying as much stuff as we are. So we're offsetting
That's not true. I have more discretionary income, so I'm buying bigger, stupid stuff that you already put luxury taxes on. Here's the other problem. Because part of the whole reason was we don't care enough about the future of the planet, or we have no vested interest in the future of the planet. So let me stop you right there, Sparky.
How can you care about the planet, Mike? You're going to be gone in 80 years.
Let me give you the flip side about it here, jerky.
You're going to be
flip side.
You're going to be
all of these
compost.
people, 19 kids and counting. The blessed way! I'm having more kids than I know what to do with. I got to keep building bigger houses because there ain't enough room for kids. You're contributing to the overpopulation problem, which is causing more pollution and requiring more production of food and resources and consumption of those natural resources. So you are the one who doesn't care about the planet. Shame.
But Mike, They're going to care because they're going to say, well, what will the grandkids inherit? You know, when we're 40 and we have grandchildren, what are they going to do? You know, meanwhile, you're throwing, you know, McDonald's styrofoam containers out the window going, well, I don't got to deal with it when I die. You know, I don't got anybody to leave this to.
Okay, first of all, if McDonald's still had styrofoam containers, that's got to be some delicious food because they wouldn't waste the paper on, you know, they wouldn't waste styrofoam on crap. So you're damn right I'm going to be getting McDonald's in the styrofoam. Bring back the McDLT. I'll be at McDonald's. No, I won't. Don't do that because McDLT was horrible. Please don't.
Well, it was a hot side on the hot side and the cold side on the cold side, Mike.
And guess what? It was still disgusting.
You have to be over 35 to get that reference, by the way.
You know, is there a Wikipedia page for the McDLT? I need to know because
I don't know. It went same way as the McLean. So
the McLean, okay.
Yeah, when we needed a 95.5 quarter pounder with cheese.
Look, all right, this kind of honestly, if this were to somehow even gain any traction, all I'm going to say is this kind of ties back to an argument that I was having or a debate that we had early on in the show. It has the potential to completely divide this country, which is already divided over a ton of different things. Okay?
What? We're not divided, Mike. We're one nation under God.
You can't bring religion into this because you will offend them. And by them, I mean the singular person over there.
Okay. So,
because I mean, look, it's only a matter of time before we get one of these like futuristic, like from Continuum TV shows where people who use masculine pronouns must only wear shades of blue. People who use feminine pronouns must only wear shades of pink. People who use non-gender specific pronouns must only wear shades of gray. That's how it's going to happen. So you stop offending people.
Oh no, because then you'll.
And you know what? I'm not bringing a kid into that.
What will the blind people wear?
But along the other line, which will tie into one of our movie reviews, sort of. Mm-hmm. How do you take into account people that medically, physically cannot have children?
Well, they're just broken.
You're going to punish them the same way as those who do just choose not to have children?
Forced adoption.
Yes.
Forced adoption?
Yes.
Bring it on.
Yes.
Bring it on as long as it's an able-bodied
We're going to give you a child named Ling.
Listen,
doesn't speak any English.
If Ling has two opposable thumbs and two functioning legs, Ling can rake up leaves in the yard. Ling can go pick up dog poop. Then it's not hired labor, it's a chore. And you can get an allowance for it. And your allowance is, I'm letting you eat my food.
Yeah. I never understood my friends who got allowances. What? You get paid for things? I just get a roof over. My dad says I get a roof over my head, and I should be happy to have that. You know? I get a roof over my head and food on the table. What else do I need is what he tells me all the time.
But where are these babies coming from that be adopted if people are getting tax breaks for having kids?
Well,
y'all noticing that suddenly I'm getting redneckish about this?
If you were getting redneckish, you wouldn't have any problem with multiple children, Mike. You'd have about 12 of them in the front yard, jumping ramps. So
come on now.
All right.
Let's just get to the movies before I
go
to piss off some other ethnicity or something.
Before we go to the movies, let me go ahead and do one correction.
Okay.
So people know that we know and we don't get people like me telling us that we're wrong later. So, just like DC, Looney Tunes are Warner Brothers, not Disney. Just saying.
Yes.
Looney Tunes are Warner Brothers, not Disney. So, okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It didn't matter at the time, so I didn't
But
say
if you
it.
got really worked up about that and sent us an angry email, we won't read it. So,
yes,
all right.
That's very true.
So we do this little feature every show. We call it the Double Feature Movie Review. It was for those of you that are unfamiliar with the show, it was really inspired. To give you a little bit of background, it was inspired by a time that I got sick, and I'd run out of things to watch. And so, as you do, you go to Netflix and say, well, what's on? And happen to be looking under that title that says things you might be interested in because you watched these other items. And so it was, hey, you watched Cowboys vs. Aliens, a very popular large release show. So you might be interested in Cowboys vs. Dinosaurs, a not so widely released movie. And so, but I watched it anyway, despite the horrible CGI. And in my, 104 degree temperature, fever, I thought, what would happen if Siskel and Ebert was to critically review these bad movies? And thus, a segment of the show was born. And so now we look through the recommendations of Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, etc., at the movies that they recommend. And because we've been doing this now for a long time, we get a lot of odd recommendations. So this week, though, we're actually reviewing 2 original Netflix movies, The Lovebirds and Fatherhood. And Mike, we were going to, I think we should probably talk about this a little bit before we get into the movies, is, the fact that the streaming services are coming out as their own motion picture production companies is actually making finding diamonds in the rough a little bit easier sometimes, because, 5 years ago you'd have said, well, if Netflix made their own movie, it's going to be garbage. Right? It's going to be bad CGI. It's going to be bad acting. It's going to be, people you never heard of. But today, it's Ryan Reynolds. It's, to Kiki, whatever his name is, producing it, from Black Panther. It's all, or Thor Ragnarok, it's all name brands, name people, So we run into the situation every once in a while where we go, wait a second, it's a real movie, but it's a Netflixing original. So what are we going to do? And so I'm of the opinion that if it's sorry, the dog decided to get into a barking fit for no reason.
That's quite all right.
But, so my thought is, as long as it's a streaming only show, it still falls into our category because it could still be a stinker. I mean, we've seen them before. I'm thinking of one off the top of my head. I don't know. It had something to do with shoes. But, or, yeah.
So here's the thing. The time that where we had this problem was a movie that I just didn't like. But at the same time, I didn't like it for reasons of I just didn't like it, but I acknowledged that it was an extremely good movie. I didn't feel like giving it a rating compared to the crap that we're usually watching. And so I decided to punt and say I refuse to give it. Now, I have not done that since.
Yeah.
Because, I decided once we had enough movies under our belt, I was like, okay, I feel better giving it a. I mean, retrospectively, I'd probably give it a meh, just because. Yeah. But that's now. That being said, if we trying to give a rating to say Indiana Jones,
yeah, that'd be difficult.
Like Raiders, it'd be it's very difficult. That's where the problem comes in. Is when you have a real Hollywood big production movie, it just, where does it fit in? Yeah, I can't give it a shnikes because it wasn't a surprise. I give a shnikes to something which I expected to hate, and then I see it, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to tell other people about it.
And
Y'all just pretty much took away the last half of an entire page of my review of one of these movies. You know that, right?
so, I wanted to kind of get out in front of that a little bit because you and I had talked about it a little bit over Slack. So.
Okay, so do you guys know Barstool Sports? And
a little bit.
All right, so like Dave Portnoy, he does the pizza reviews.
Okay.
Right, pizza review time, Frankie, or now it's Spider that goes with him. He's got different scales now.
Okay.
Because he's got scales for margarita pizza, he's got scales for deep dish, for frozen pizza, for what he calls football pizza, for he's got all different scales, and he kind of specifies when he looks at a pizza how he's rating it.
Okay.
I almost feel like we're going to have to evolve the puke to Schneike scale.
Yep.
Which, unfortunately, would also mean we're going to have to put in writing the puke to Schneike scale because we're going to have a couple of different variants here.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to need the ones that are God help us, the YouTube Kickstarter type.
Yep. The independents.
And we're going to need the ones that are the streaming production company.
Yeah.
So Schneike's from the production company means we probably should have never reviewed it in the first place, because that's what everybody is hoping to see when they go to see it. A Schneike's from the Kickstarter, that's the diamond in the rough we're looking for.
Yeah.
But we can't ignore the ones that Netflix and Amazon and Paramount and Peacock and Hulu, we can't ignore them.
No, because they're so.
We'll just give them a boring star rating. We'll just say it's a 2.5-star mainstream movie.
Yeah. So we'll work on the evolution of that a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about the two movies that we got. So we'll start off. Why don't we go ahead and you want to start off with Fatherhood, Mike? Okay.
So, Colin, I have to ask. I know you said you were only going to have time to watch one of the movies. Which one did you watch?
So I did not watch Fatherhood at all. We'll get to the other one next.
Okay. So Fatherhood. Go ahead.
All right.
All right. So let's do that.
All right. So Fatherhood is as we talked about, it's a straight to Netflix movie that stars yes, exactly, that guy, Kevin Hart. Now, here's the thing. I positioned this movie because my wife always asks me, when are you guys going to actually watch a decent movie? And so I said, well, Kevin Hart's in this one. I think you might like it. You like Central Intelligence. You like Jumanji, the newer Jumanjis. You like Upside or whatever that other one was, where he's with the guy with the wheelchair. I'm like, you like Kevin Hart. He's a funny comedian. Maybe you'll like this one. So I start this movie off. We start to watching, and she, we're like half an hour in, and she goes, how much longer does this have? She's like, you thought I'd like this? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it does have some funny parts. Like where he breaks into the parents, new parents, and he goes, listen, she got stuff coming out one way or the other. And he goes, oh my God, I gave the baby colic. I knew I didn't wash my hands enough. I gave the baby colic. And as someone who was kind of a single dad, I mean, I wasn't entirely, but there were a lot of times where I had my daughter on my own before I got married. Especially having a girl, and not turning to anybody else, it was very relatable for me to see that. Now, I didn't lose my wife to death or anything like that. It just didn't work out. But it was super relatable for me to be in that space of he's here, doesn't know how to deal with a baby, getting all this thrown at him. And then you throw on there the parents and the in-laws and everybody just harping on him, saying you can't do this on your own. You need to move back home. How are you gonna do this? His odd friends trying to help out as best they can. I mean, there were a lot of real tearjerker moments in this movie, and it's not a rom-com, so don't go into it thinking that it's a rom-com. It is definitely a drama movie. There are some points where you're like really hurting for this guy, and you're almost worried if he's going to make it through this whole thing. And, there's some nifty cameos in here. Seeing Paul Reiser as his boss was really kind of fun. I hadn't seen Paul Reiser in a film in a long time, so it was nice to see him out there working again. And it was just a good show. If anything, it reminded me somewhat of Jersey Girl. So if you did like Jersey Girl, then you with not Matt Damon, but the other one in it, then you might enjoy this one. It doesn't have George Carlin in it, obviously, but there are some moments like that. And I thought it was overall a very good drama movie. But again, you have to remember it is a drama movie. While there are a few moments of levity in it, is overall a very cerebral piece. Probably not a date night movie unless you really, want it to be. Because there's some parts where it gets really real and really rough. And so, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for date night. But if you were married for a while and you got a solid, thing where you guys just want to watch something where you got to, concentrate and pay attention for a little while, that's a good movie for that. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and give it a smile. Like I said, I liked it. It was fun for me to watch because I normally don't watch these types of movies. So, it was good. All right, Mike, you're up.
All right, look, I had a feeling going into this movie that this was going to be a rare bird among the movies that we review, and I was going out on a limb with a guess that this was going to be in the realm of My Name is Doris and was going to be disqualified. And see, the way the movie's starting, really harsh on my mellow, man, and no, there is no Skyping from the hospital. Let's be clear about that. Giving a gift in the hospital, apparently this is called a push gift. And this is a real thing now, guys. So remember this when... Here's when things get real. And they got to have the baby cry. Spoiler alert. 3, 2, 1. They got to have a baby cry in the middle of her eulogy. Yeah, great. Netflix trying to get everybody crying now. Of course. So I'm sitting here watching and enjoying this right up to the part where they go to the fair. And I had to chime in with something because I absolutely love the fact that they played an entire sequence off of Kevin Hart's real life fear of roller coasters and thrill rides and fun houses. Just when things were going good, shit hits the fan. And then, of course, they live happily ever after. Wait, credit scene. Hold on. Credit scene. Okay, cool. So, okay, here's my paragraph that y'all pretty much covered. Apparently somebody hacked my computer and got my notes. I was almost on the verge of disqualifying this movie. I mean, this movie has serious star power. We've got Kevin Hart, Alfred Woodard, the dude who played the landlord in Coming to America. I'll even go as far as, what's his name? Lil Rel Howery, right? It's well written, but then I thought about it a bit. You see, Colin pointed out last show that there are a lot of good movies out there on other services that we currently don't consider. The fact is that the streaming exclusive game is stepping up, so movies like this are going to be more common. That being said, this movie does deal with an emotional topic, so it could hit folks differently, very much like, what was that one, Making Babies? Was that the one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So someone who went through what Kevin Hart's character went through would obviously look at this a lot different than someone just watching it because they like Kevin Hart. So I'm going to give this one a smile because I did enjoy it. But it did hit me in the feels in some parts, and I'm going to give this the same disclaimer that I gave making babies. If your situation, if you lived the situation that the main character is going through, you're going to look at this a lot different.
Yep. Exactly. So, all right. Next up is what? I forgot.
The Lovebirds.
The Lovebirds. I don't think anybody's lived to this one, so I think we'll be okay. If they have, we're in trouble. If you
you read through my... No, I'm kidding.
If you've lived this movie, we want to know. All right, Colin, do we want to start off with you this time?
You go ahead and start with me. There will not be an official review. I did not actually watch the movie. I fast forwarded through the movie. I had meant to get it fit in between work and the show starting, but unfortunately, people needed help, and so it went into my time. I will tell you honestly, I am not sure I could have gotten through this movie anyway. This movie is a non-stop bickering couple, interrupted slightly with murder and other shenanigans that, as far as I could tell, barely interrupt them arguing with each other. That is my idea of hell, of just watching a couple arguing nonstop. There was many weddings when I was in Puerto Rico, and lots of bickering couples. That was hell enough. So I'm kind of glad I didn't have time to watch this. I'm pretty sure I would have given it an extremely poor review if I actually had had time to force myself to watch it.
All right. Okay. I'll go next.
I don't know what to make of that, so we're just going to give that an A as well. All right.
All right. So, The Lovebirds. So this is, my wife watched this movie with me as well. She fell asleep midway through this movie, so that gives you her rating of it, which was snore. Okay. I got into this movie thinking, where do I know him from? What movie was he in? And then I'll tell you what I thought, and then tell you what I know now. What I thought when I was watching it is, oh, that's the cab driver from Deadpool. All right, sweet. And that's what I thought while I was watching this movie. He's not. What I learned is he's not. He's absolutely not the cab driver from Deadpool. Instead, he's the Uber driver from the movie Stuber that I like. It's actually a pretty good movie. So I don't know if have we reviewed Stuber?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe I just watched that on my own. But anyway, yes, I enjoy, as someone who's been in multiple year-long relationships with people, I enjoy the juxtaposition of beginning of relationship, years into a relationship, and how it changes. It's like, I think they've lived this before. So, I don't know, Mike. Maybe you can also, relate. But yes, relationships do change over time. Imagine that. There was a lot of arguing. There was a ton of arguing. There was a little bit of action in this. It was kind of fun. I can see, where they were going with most of the movie. It was somewhat predictable, but it was still a fun movie to watch. There were some hilarious times. The scene with the mask was probably the most predictable out of the entire show, but the number calling, I think that was the most predictable as what was going to happen once the lottery was done. But it was all that was right up my alley. I mean, that was like, they said, What scene would Shaggy like? Really? Let's see. Okay, yeah, that one. Let's do that. So it was a fun little romp. If you liked, what was that? Was it Murder Dinner or something like that with crap? Damn it!
What?
I'm trying to think of it and I can't remember. Adam Sandler. What was that? Adam Sandler.
Yes.
Murder Dinner movie?
Oh, Murder Mystery.
Murder Mystery. If you like that one, then this one's kind of fun as well. It's kind of along the same lines a little bit. So, yeah, and again, it's another Netflix original. So, if you like that and you like especially the couple dynamic, this is kind of a fun movie. Don't expect too many. I mean, you do have to remember that this is, a comedy adventure movie. So it is an R-rated movie. There's plenty of language, so this is not a family movie. Don't bring your little kids to watch this. They're not going to have a good time. But yeah, otherwise, I liked it. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a smile as well. I really did enjoy it. All right, Mike.
All right, so before I go there...
No, Stuber was bad. No, it was funny.
Yeah, okay. So, listen. Here's a line in this movie, right off the bat. Documentaries are just reality shows that no one watches. That'd be like me saying musicals are just visual albums that no one listens to. Suddenly, we're in a scene from the movie Quicksilver, where the bike messenger is getting chased all around town by the evil guy. And how is the bike messenger not flat as a pancake? Spoiler alert. After getting run over by the car 6 times. The next best thing to drown your sorrows / panic / fear / anxiety in when alcohol isn't available? Milkshakes, of course. No, you go and find the alcohol, people. If you're so cheap that Lyft share is your default, bruh. Don't pee down my back and tell me it's raining. Shaggy, focus. Kind of kinky from Anna Camp from Pitch Perfect fame, I'm going to say, though. But focus, Shaggy. Let me tell you something. If you get kicked square in the chest by a horse, I'm just going to throw this one up here now.
Yes.
You're going to be out cold or dead. Do you remember when this one child in like Kentucky or somewhere got hit square in the chest with a fastball and died because it hit at exactly the right time that his heart stopped? So now all the kids in baseball have to wear Under Armour shirts that have a pad right there to keep it from happening. Yeah, this dude got kicked in the chest by a horse.
Was that or bacon?
Or get the bacon grease poured on him. Yes, I know, the hot grease. Listen, lady, I'm a dude, and I even know this, but if you take your heels off and carry them, you will be able to run faster. I would like to ask a question, and I'm going to be serious about this. When did it become scientifically proven that Neosporin is effective on bruises? As a hockey player, I'd like to know this. Because if that is the case, why do they only sell Neosporin in the little tubes that are about that big? They should be selling it in jars that are the size of cantaloupes. She just cacawed at the frat boy while she's dressed like a cosplay unicorn. And look. And then she calls him Lil Brett Kavanaugh, and she takes it another level by calling him Date Rape McGee. And now I got to, when did this all suddenly take place in the same universe as Eyes Wide Shut, because they're at the Eyes Wide Shut party. I mean, this was a fun movie for the most part. The couple was annoying as hell. Look, this is a couple that if you went out one time with them, like on a double date, you would make every excuse in the world never to go out with them again. But this was like a bad remake of Date Night with Tina Fey and, oh God, why am I drawing a blank on his name from The Office?
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell. That was a fun movie as well, but this was the dollar store version. So I'm just going to give this one a smile. Because it was fun. If you never saw Date Night, you'd think that this was hysterical, possibly. But the couple was annoying. You're right. You're absolutely right, Colin. I would not want to hang out with them in any way, shape, or form.
What was the Bruce Willis date movie?
Blind Date.
Blind Date. Yeah.
Don't give her any alcohol. She goes crazy when you give her alcohol.
Yeah. So.
And then Kim Basinger's going, yeah, okay.
Oh. So those were the movies for this week. Now we got to pick the movies for our next show. So, Mike,
I just want to say,
28.
I've decided not to have a relationship, so I don't have to fight with anybody like that. I don't want to watch anybody else doing it.
Well,
anyways, go on.
All right. 23.
23. Yes.
What is it?
Yes. On Amazon.
Uh-huh.
The Tomorrow War.
Oh, good. I was going to watch this anyway. So Chris Pratt fights invaders from another world in the future. Okay.
And not in the future.
22.
But still in the future. 22. Oh,
Cooties.
no. Oh, hell no.
What?
Really? Dude,
What?
first of all, the link is to the trailer.
Okay, so what's the movie?
So is this available? Cooties. Is this available somewhere?
Cooties. How do you spell it? Cooties?
C-O... Circle, dot. Now I got my cootie shot.
Well,
I'm checking Amazon.
It's probably not anymore. It used to be on Amazon Prime, but it's not. It's a rental. So they probably took it off.
Okay.
All right.
The link was to YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do this.
But it's to...
Let's do 15.
Oh, God. Nope. Unavailable. It's another YouTube.
One?
Yeah, they don't
You gotta
last
be
very
kidding
long.
me.
What's one?
Swiped? Nope, it's available.
It is available?
Okay.
Okay. On Netflix.
Two college roommates develop a discreet hookup app. Casual affairs and complications soon run rampant on campus. This is all Colin.
So, teen movie comedy, late night comedy. This movie is raunchy and goofy.
This seems like it's going to be I'm calling it now. It's a dollar store version of American Pie.
Yeah,
Well,
for anybody who happens to be finding this randomly on YouTube, meaning PTR Radio, when Mike referred to as this is a Colin movie, he was being sarcastic.
Yes.
I don't know.
Colin is going to hate this movie. He is going to hate this movie. I can guarantee it. I can
It's
so
definitely
guarantee
really
it.
funny, so we will definitely watch it.
Mike is going to hate this movie. Okay?
I mean, it could.
Ooh, a college freshman and computer genius is enlisted. So we'll see how much bad programming they have in it, too.
Yeah, Colin's going to fact check the movie. That's what he's going to do. Oh, yeah. That's what Colin's going to do. He's going to fact check it. All right. Okay. All right. So that pretty much wraps up this evening's show. And that's way too loud. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening. You know, we really enjoy everybody tuning in, following along, chiming in. Don't forget to tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers all about the show, and let them know that really your voice is the only way that we get, put out there, that the show grows any at all. So we'd appreciate it if you would just let people know, tune into the show. Download the podcast. PTRradio.com has all the information on the show. And, one of these days I'll get around to updating it. So it actually looks nice and has more information on it. One of these days. Who knows? Might happen. But
as long as we use graphics that aren't, from the Associated Press or something.
Yeah, no, it's going to be text only. I'm going back to 95. It's going to be all text all the time. Yeah, just flying toasters and text. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have a page counter at the bottom. It's just going to scroll up one at a time every time somebody refreshes the page. It's going to be great. Or maybe if you're lucky, I'll put a little clock on your cursor when it moves around the page. I still have that Java code from college, so we'll pull that out.
I think this should be I think that should be the template for our website.
Yeah, pretty much. You could be right. We're just going to go to a single deal. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Just pretty much like that. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
And for those who couldn't read, the URL is AbeVagodaDead.com.
Yep. So, all right. With that said, don't forget to tune in 2 weeks on a Monday. So that'll be the 16th. We'll be back. Hey, day after my birthday. It'll be a post-birthday show. So that's when we'll be back on next. Like I said, you can always tune in to the podcast or check out Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and see all the previous episodes are listed there as well. So with that said, really, I don't have anything else. You guys, anything?
Nope.
Colin, you going into any more foreign lands anytime soon?
Not till December.
All right. Mike, anything?
Visit the Bahamas.
Anybody want to adopt a one-eyed black cat?
Is his name Todd Peepers?
No, name is One-Eyed Wilhelmina.
No, I have an aunt who's trying to get me to adopt a kitten, and I'm like, I have 4 geriatric dogs. I can't afford any more vet bills. So, no more animals.
Oh, okay.
As
Remind me. I'll tell the story next time.
Okay. Look for that and much more on the next episode of PTR Radio. Until then, I'm Shaggy.
I'm Colin.
I am Mike the Ape Man.
Stick a fork in us, folks. We are done. Later.